The Kit Car Championship is a mainstay of 750 Motor Club racing, catering as it does for production cars with no modification to the original design concept, and they have to be able to pass an MOT. Ian spoke with one of the main championship contenders.
Andy Harley, former Kit Car champion, and a new car for you this year.
That's right, yes, it's a brand new car. We only just finished it actually. We've been building it for about 3 years on and off, and we finally got there.
So it's another Tay-Deck. What's the difference between this one and the one that you raced before?
The basic difference is it's a bit lighter. We've incorporated all the defects that we found with the other car, running that for 5 years. We've tried to engineer it so we don't have the same issues on this car, access problems, reliability things. So certain components we've made a different way so that they're less likely to fail. When things do fail or need changing, it's easier to work on, things like that. But the main thing was the aim to get the weight down, because the car always ran overweight.
So the Kit Car is heading out onto the track for their second race of the weekend. They're sharing the grid at this event with the cars from the Sports Racing and GT Challenge, but only one of them, Ken Culverwell, who's further back on the grid, has stayed on for the second day of action. So on pole position we have number 24 Guy Hussey, next to him is Rob Johnston in car number 82. On the second row of the grid, effectively, it's Matthew Lewis, who won yesterday's race, or the Kit Car division at least, and alongside him is Ian Kempson. Dave Caldercourt and Anton Landon on the next row, but further back we do have Ken Culverwell and Andy Hiley, the guy we've just been talking to, multiple champion in his new car, but it's still very much a production-based engine, a scrapyard specialist, the way he described it to me. So don't expect particularly great things from Andy Hiley just yet as he battles this car.
Well, it'll be Guy Hussey then, as you alluded to, on pole position alongside Rob Johnston for this race. We're just waiting for the all clear from the marshals at the back of the grid, and then here comes the lights. 5-second boards held aloft, green flag is waved, lights come on, and a long wait, and then the lights go off and away they go, and it looks like it's a pretty solid start from Guy Hussey from the front row. Rob Johnston looks like he's dropped actually quite a way down the order. That white car is Ian Kempson having a look up the inside further back, but it is Guy Hussey who holds on to the lead from Lewis as they head around Riches. We're on board with Moore, who's gone around the outside of David Caldercourt as they head down into Sear for the first time. There are the two leaders then exiting onto the Revit straight, and it looks like they've all got through the first two corners safely.
Yes, indeed. And Andy Hiley saw there in the Tay-Deck, the Tay-Deck Mark II, a new car, as we said. He's making up ground already. Someone else making up ground is John Moore. Look, he's going to get past two cars here as they go along the Revit straight for the first time, and he goes up to third place as a result of that. So it's three red cars in the top three places now, but it's Matthew Lewis who is in the lead as they turn their way through the S's now. So a change there with the pole position man Guy Hussey going back down to second position. There is the Soul SR GT car. That's the Mamba, the Lotus 23 replica of Ken Culverwell.
As they make their way through Corham and down to Russell for the first time. It is still Lewis in the lead then. He seems to have superior straight line speed. I'd imagine that's how he got past Guy Hussey on the run down the Revit straight, but Hussey isn't giving up that easily. Sitting there in third position is John Moore with Rob Johnston right behind him as they come across the start finish straight now, all pretty much line astern at the moment. They're further back is the number 11 car we were talking about earlier, but now we're getting some action as we've got two cars. We've got four cars in two pairs side by side down the start finish straight. It's Andy Hiley moving around the outside of Rob Johnston to move up into third position now, I think.
Fourth, I think, because he's still got John Moore up ahead of him, but Hiley has certainly made up some good ground. Matthew Lewis it is then leading, Guy Hussey in second, John Moore in third, and yes, Hiley there in fourth position. That's Ian Kempson going side by side with David Caldercourt there. Caldercourt still a relative newcomer to racing. He's in the ex-Tony Southgate car. Southgate, the race car designer of some repute, but it's Lewis that turns into the S's in the lead. And yes, he will have a bit more straight line than Guy Hussey because he's got a bit more power. He's in Class A for the most powerful, the largest engine capacity cars, whereas Guy Hussey down in Class C. That's for cars with the Ford Z-Tech engine in particular.
Ian Kempson then looking to close in on Rob Johnston in front of him as they make their way through Corham, and there is Matthew Lewis. You can see he's pulled out quite a large lead now over Guy Hussey in second, who I'd imagine will soon be coming under pressure from John Moore and definitely Andy Hiley, who's really making his way through the field, and round there goes 82 Rob Johnston. Everyone manages to avoid him. Ian Kempson kicking up a load of dust on the exit of Russell, but that's a bit of drama there for Rob Johnston, who started effectively on the front row. And now we've got side by side between John Moore and Ian Kempson, and John Moore goes through as they go down into Riches.
I think it was actually David Caldecott, wasn't it, in the number 38 car there? Yes, it was. Novice Cross on the back of the car is how you can tell the difference, but yes, they are similar cars. And we're on board with John Moore now, who is chasing after second place man Guy Hussey. You can see how much speed there he was carrying through Sear Corner, and the red car ahead is just getting a little bit larger, isn't it? Yes, it is. He's going to draw alongside now, John Moore. The 24 car is going to go down to third place as John Moore does indeed go through. He, like the race leader, he's in a Class A machine, but look now, they've both got Andy Hiley climbing all over the back of them.
But they've now dropped to just over 2 seconds behind race leader Matthew Lewis, and it's going to be quite a challenge to catch up with him. There is Ian Kempson and Caldecott, who we saw battling earlier, heading now through the bomb hole. But up at the front is where the action is going to be. The three-way battle for second place is the exciting one, and here it comes now down into Russell Chicane. Andy Hiley's looking up the inside here, and Andy Hiley, is he going to go through? Yes, around the outside of the second part of Russell, and all of a sudden Guy Hussey from pole is down into fourth position.
So we've now got the two Class A cars together there, John Moore and Andy Hiley, having moved up to the A class this season for a new challenge for him. On board now with John Moore as he heads down to Rich's Corner. John Moore, one of the directors of the 750 Motor Club, turns his way, just clipping the apex there, and again, and heading up towards Sear Corner now, but he's lost a place. Hiley has gone through, and this car, on only its second race, its first meeting out, is going really well for the Yorkshireman.
And look how much they've dropped Guy Hussey. Guy Hussey disappearing into the distance there at Sear as they head down the Revit straight. Now, will Hiley have the speed to close in?
Matthew Lewis still leading then, but it is Andy Hiley right with him now. 1.1 seconds taken out of Matthew Lewis's lead on that particular lap, and Hiley's going to go through. He's through on the inside of Matthew Lewis. Hiley takes the lead then from the back of the grid, but he overcooks and he goes a little bit wide. Does that give Lewis the opportunity to try and come back? For the moment, no, it doesn't.
But we saw how powerful Matthew Lewis's car was in a straight line, and look, he's pulling alongside Hiley as they come over the crest of the little hill in Norfolk to come down into the S's, and it is Matthew Lewis back in front of Andy Hiley, and this will be just what John Moore wants. These two battling will hopefully allow him to catch up. Hiley taking a wider line into the second part of the S's in order to get a better run out towards Coram. He knows that he's got a straight line speed problem, and Anton Landon there is out of the race.
Yes, the man in the Sienna MX500R, one of the Class C cars. He is a retirement, but this lead battle rages on. Lewis, Hiley and Moore, the three cars together there as they turn through Riches as this race comes into its concluding stages now. On board with Moore, he's going through on the inside, he goes to second place, and Andy Hiley goes back down to third position, and he's spun, and Hiley has lost that just out of camera shot. He goes down to third place, but I think he will hold on to that position.
A brave late move from John Moore up the inside there, and well, he certainly was confident on the brakes compared to Andy Hiley, that's for sure. On to the final lap then. It's these two in the battle for the lead. Does John Moore have what it takes to get past Matthew Lewis? I'd be surprised, because Matthew Lewis was romping away with this until he started battling with Andy Hiley, but if it's going to happen, we're going to see it from point of view, because we're on board with John Moore heading through Coram for the final time, down into the final corners at Riches, wiggling the steering wheel, just trying to keep it in a straight line. He has a little look up the inside, but he's gone quite defensive there, has Matthew Lewis, and as they exit Russell now, heading across the start-finish line, it's going to be Matthew Lewis to take the victory from John Moore. The checkered flag falls, and a pretty convincing victory in the end for Matthew Lewis, but he had a bit of pressure at times.
So 1.13 seconds was the victory margin for Matthew Lewis in the end, after a very tough race, in particular from John Moore and Andy Hiley, who had that good drive from the back of the grid, but he finished 6 seconds behind Moore. Looking further back, Class C winner was Guy Hussey, the Class B winner Ian Kempson, and Ken Culverwell won the Sports Racing and GT class. He was the only driver in it.
took the lead on lap 1 at the S's by the looks of it, and then just about held on for the rest of the race.
Yes, it was fairly lonely for a little while up at the front, but I could see them getting closer and closer in the mirrors, and a bit more anxious. You tend to look more in your mirrors than you do in front, which is always a bit risky. Caught up, thought I was going to be under serious pressure for a little while, and then I think they started racing between themselves, and it gave me a little breathing space, and so I managed to just eke it out towards the end.
Absolutely. So this first weekend of the season, and you've taken 2 victories. You must be pretty chuffed with that.
It's gone very, very well. Yes, we've done some work, MNR, over the winter. So yeah, very good start to the season.